Elischa and Bayer Leverkusen for becoming Bundesliga champions for the first time in their 120-year history. Defender from Hilal, Albulahyi, he's a pest. He's very, very annoying, and he should be protected at all costs. Arsenal and Liverpool, you make me sick. You sickly, stuttering, stumbling, frantic, fumbling fannies. The third team who's trying to beat y'all to the Premier League title is not a normal team. Pep Guardiola is not normal. And when you're facing an abnormal opponent, you can't run a normal race. You can't. Hello! What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Elischa here, and welcome back to another episode of Evergreen. This is episode 6, numero 6. And whenever and wherever you're watching this, I hope you're feeling well. I hope you're feeling loved. And I hope you and your family are staying safe. This is the football show for football fans, by football fans. And I'm so happy that I get to spend some time with y'all. Whether you're watching on YouTube or Spotify podcast, I appreciate your very valuable time. Make sure you subscribe to the Gold channel. Make sure if you're listening on audio platforms that you download the episode, that you rate us 5 stars so that Evergreen could keep climbing on up so we could keep growing this beautiful family. And as always, y'all know the vibes. We talking about footy. We talking about all the interesting things in the past week in football, in soccer, all over the world. So without further ado, let's get right to it. You know what happened, right? You know what happened. We gonna talk about it, but you know what happened, right? I'm just gonna lay out to y'all what my feelings are about how this first leg of the Champions League quarterfinals went. But y'all know what happened already. Y'all know that this was entertaining. I liked it. I enjoyed it. That's my main verdict, is I enjoyed this first leg. And we're gonna start it off at the Emirates with Arsenal versus Bayern Munich, which ended in a 2-2 draw. And I'm not gonna lie, Bayern looked like for a while they had it in the bag. Bayern looked like a superior team away from home too. Arsenal looked like they were struggling a little bit to catch up. Arsenal looked a little bit nervous. I feel like there was definitely some imposter syndrome in the building for the Gunners, but they were able to snag the equalizer and share the point. And honestly, well, not share the point since it's gonna be aggregate, but they got the draw, right? They didn't lose. It wasn't a win, but they didn't lose. And honestly, at home, at this point in the season, contending for the Premier League title, you should be looking for the win, but it's not a loss, and you have one more leg to play. Unfortunately, that leg is going to be at the Allianz Arena in front of all the Bayern fans, which is always an intimidating atmosphere to be a part of. So Bayern definitely have got the upper hand going into the next leg. And I'm going to give my predictions about all the matchups once we're done outlining everything that happened. However, I do think that Arsenal-Bayern game, especially with what happened in the Premier League and the Bundesliga this past weekend, that matchup's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting. But moving on to the highlight match for me, the biggest, that was box office. Everyone was anticipating something magical, something special, and they did not disappoint. Manchester City versus the Real Madrid, a 3-3 thriller at the Bernabeu. And before the match, Real Madrid officials asked the stadium if they could close the top, right? They asked them, close the top down, because we trying to box them in, right? We trying to box them in. We trying to make sure that they hear every roar, every chant, every cheer. They try to close the top, and they got their muffin cap bag peeled by Manchester City. It was a draw. It was a draw. It's not like they got spanked, all right? Because for the majority of the game, Real Madrid's momentum was off the chains. They're such a momentum-led team. Vinicius Jr. is a baller. Rodrigo is a baller. Oh my goodness. However, Manchester City, Gvardiol, Phil Foden, they got City back in that game. Bernardo Silva with an early free kick, with a masterpiece of a free kick early on, shook up Real a little bit, but not really, because they came right back. They came right back. They came right back. Right. They came right back. They came right. They came right back. They came right back into the game. And they were spanking City for the majority of it. City might be blue, but they had a red tushy for the majority of that match. However, now everything's even going into the Etihad. I do not want to give a team like City that type of advantage. But actually, on a serious note, before we move on, during this leg of the Champions League, unfortunately, a few players went missing. It's a sad situation. Jude Bellingham, Erling Haaland, they have gone missing from the Champions League. So I just want everybody to put out some good energy for these players so that hopefully they're found in the second leg, because they've gone AWOL, MIA, Ghost, Casper to be exact. Somebody call the Ghostbusters, because we need to find them. But in all seriousness, it's one match, but it's a big match. That's exactly it. We can't make excuses for these players. It is a big match. Jude Bellingham was non-existent. Erling Haaland was non-existent. Jude Bellingham was non-existent. Where were they? Where were you? Where were you? And honestly, I feel like they got off a little bit easy, right? And this is what your teammates are for, honestly. This is what you have a supporting cast for. This is what you have a Bernardo Silva. This is what you have, even though De Bruyne didn't play, this is what you have a supporting cast for, so that when you're underperforming, when you're a little bit quiet and they're on top of their game, you can still go away with a 3-3 draw. Same thing for Real Madrid, right? When Jude is quiet, you have a Vini Jr., you have a Rodrigo, you have players, you have a Valverde who can score and who can still keep things afloat. Because if you're just relying on one player, honestly, you just don't have a top level team. And, you know, we're showing that. However, and we're going to talk about PSG and Mbappe also, who definitely was quiet. But, you know, this happens. You know, I never wanted to seem like we're just reducing these two guys by a few performances, a few matches. Like, that's not it at all. However, though, if you're a top dog, these matches are where legends are made. This is where Rodrigo and Vini Jr. are showing exactly where their cojones are. Where are your cojones? Where are they? They're right there. They got big ones. Whoa. They're showing that they're big moment players. And overall, it was a pretty even matchup. But going into the second leg, anybody can take it. Anybody honestly could take it in that matchup. I think the difference is going to be, it's going to come out to which of these two teams' absent superstars are going to show up in the second leg. Is it going to be Jude Bellingham? Is it going to be Erling Haaland? De Bruyne is back in the second leg. He's not injured right now, so he's going to come back. Who's going to make the difference? Either one of them have to step up. And if they both step up, I can see this arguably being one of the greatest, if not the greatest Champions League match of all time. With two of these juggernaut giant teams healthy, oh, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem. Speaking of problem, PSG got a problem and Barca was solving them. 3-2 at the Parc des Princes. Barcelona came out with the win. Rockstar man of the match performance by Rafinha. Finally, things are gelling for Rafinha. And this is why sometimes it's important to believe in your players. And sometimes it's difficult. You know, the fans were getting frustrated. I was getting a bit frustrated. Barcelona itself seemed like, you know, they wasn't giving up on him. Xavi seemed like he wasn't giving up on Rafinha, but things are finally coming together for him. It seems like he's a lot more comfortable. He's a lot more confident. I've always said a confident Rafinha is a dangerous Rafinha, because when that boy on his day, the same Rafinha that I saw for Leeds is the same Rafinha that we're starting to see for Barcelona right now. And that's all we've asked for since the start. We saw what you were doing in the Prem. Just come and do that right here over for Barcelona. And we're seeing that. You know, he's stepping up. The team needed him to step up. Paris was not underperforming. Mbappe wasn't playing at his best. He was a little shy too. You know what I'm saying? He was a little timid. He was a little, you know what I'm saying? He was in the corner a little bit. But Rafinha stepped up and was able to capitalize for Barca. And we went down 2-1. So it was looking rough. It was looking tough. It was looking rough for your boys. But Rafinha stepped up. And honestly, good solid performances by both teams. But the highlight of that match for me, what stood out the most for me in this game, Ousmane Dembele scored for the first time against Barcelona and celebrated like he won the World Cup a second time. Oh, Ousmane. Oh, them boos. What's going on? Is beef? Ousmane Dembele came from Borussia Dortmund to Barcelona and was welcomed. The people loved him, right? Until he started getting a lot of different criticism because of his attitude, because of his behavior off the field. You know, the not eating right, the showing late to training, whatever. Young dude feeling himself. He's a very good player, so I could understand how, you know what I'm saying, the arrogance might have gotten to his head a little bit, and he didn't understand where he was. He didn't understand that this is Barcelona, and things are done a little bit more differently here, right? But they got him straight. However, he started getting injured a lot. Eventually, it was like, you know, he's gaining his foot. He's a little bit healthier, but PSG came calling, opportunity to play for Kylian Mbappe, going back to France. He's from... Yes, I understood the decision perfectly. Barcelona wasn't heading towards the best direction at the time, so I completely understand the move. But it's beef? Oh, the first time you face Barcelona since you leave, and now you celebrate like you just won the NBA championship. Dembele celebrated like Max Holloway. You would have thought that boy got a last-second knockout in UFC 300. The way he celebrated against Barca. It must be beef. I thought he was vegan, but it must be beef. Just as Barca fans took that as disrespect, I feel like the players is going to take that as disrespect. And I think that's going to come back to bite him, right? He got ahead of himself. He got a goal. PSG went up. PSG went up. He thought it was all sweet. He thought it was cool, right? And now Barca got the win, and you still got to play them at home. But anyways, last but not least, Atletico Madrid versus Dortmund. Atletico dominated Dortmund throughout the whole match, went up 2-0. But late into the second half, Sebastian Haller was able to get one for Dortmund, make things 2-1. A little bit more interesting going into the second leg back in Dortmund. You know, playing at Iduna Park is definitely intimidating, so Atletico is going to have to work for that win. You see those yellow and black flags waving around, and that sea of yellow surrounding you is, you got to get 8 hours of sleep before a match like that. And I hope Atletico fans get plenty of rest, because they're going to need it. And I'm not going to lie to you, I went back to betting. You know what I'm saying? I placed a few parlays on this first leg of the Champions League, and I thought, you know what I'm saying, I thought I could have gotten a little something, and I was close. I was very, very close. I went on FanDuel and only did double chances. Only double chance, right? So it's either one team wins or they get a draw. If that happens, I make my bread, right? And I bet, I did a 4-leg parlay. Easy. All double chances, double chance, Arsenal and draw. Got that because Arsenal drew Bayern Munich. Double chance Man City and draw. Man City didn't win, but they got the draw versus Real, so I won that. Double chance Barcelona and draw. Same thing. Barcelona won, so I got that. The only thing I didn't win off of that 4-leg parlay, double chance Dortmund and draw. Atletico got the win. And I was close. One more goal from Dortmund, and I'm sitting pretty. The bag is made. The bag is made. Next time, please. And it's so heartbreaking when you make a parlay and you lose by one bet. One bet. I got all the other 3. One. My prediction for the second leg of this round of the Champions League, Bayern versus Arsenal, I'm going to go 3-1 for Bayern. Coming off the weekend that they just had in the Bundesliga, I feel like they got some extra bit of motivation. Arsenal didn't have the best weekend in the Premier League, so they're a little bit more weakened. I'm saying that at home, at this stage of the competition, Harry Kane is trying to get a trophy desperately this season. I could see Bayern Munich really putting the pause on Arsenal, so I'm going to go with 3-1 Bayern. Real Madrid, Manchester City at the Etihad. I know Jude and Erling watch Evergreen. I know they see what's going on the internet. They hear the criticism. So guess what? They're going to turn up for the second leg. Both teams are going to be on full force with their best foot forward. So I'm saying Real Madrid, Man City is going to end in 2-2. It's going to go to penalties, and Man City are going to come away with it in penalties. Now, Barca versus PSG, nothing's going to change. They won the first leg. They won the first leg 3-2. They're going to win the second leg, but this time I can see it being a calm 2-1. I think Mbappe is going to step up and score that one goal for PSG, but it's not going to be enough. Barca, within the 90 minutes, is going to get that W, pack them boys up, get to the semifinals. And final prediction, Dortmund versus Atletico Madrid at Iduna Park. I can see Dortmund getting a calm calm 1-0. Atletico is a very defensive team. Simeone going to back out those defensive tactics as always. So I can see it being difficult for Dortmund to score, but their 12th man is going to push them and motivate them. They're going to make it 1-0. It's going to go to extra time. It's going to go to penalties. But unfortunately, I think Atletico in penalties beats Dortmund and move on to the semifinals. Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I bugging? Am I wilding? Let me know. What are your thoughts? What are your predictions for this leg in the Champions League? Let me know down in the comments below. But now moving on to the Premier League, and we're going to make this segment short right here because Arsenal and Liverpool, you make me sick. You sickly, stuttering, stumbling, frantic, fumbling fannies. How? How you going to lose? Liverpool, how you going to lose 1-0 at Anfield to Crystal Palace? This supposed to be Klopp's last dance. This supposed to be the farewell tour. You going to lose at home? Arsenal, you gonna lose to Aston Villa? Y'all had Leon Bailey whining on your goal line like that. Whining. With 8 matches left in the Premier League, you can't afford these results. Liverpool, Arsenal, I'm talking to the both of y'all. Because the third team who's trying to beat y'all to the Premier League title is not a normal team. Pep Guardiola is not normal. And when you're facing an abnormal opponent, you can't run a normal race. You can't. Pep's bald head holds a lot of power in it. Have y'all not seen the footage of him in training? Bernariki, Rory, Bernariki. It's like going into the woods and wrapping yourself up in bacon and just waiting for the wolves to come and eat you. You're bugging. Obviously, the race is not over yet, but damn, slipping up at this point is only going to make Man City more motivated and more adamant on securing that. Like now, by dropping points this weekend, Arsenal and Liverpool, you just gave Man City every reason to show y'all why they're the top dogs and y'all the little pups. Hacklische Glückwünsche and Bayer Leverkusen for becoming Bundesliga champions for the first time in their 120-year history. They've been a club since 1904, and only 12 other teams have won the Bundesliga. And like I said last episode, I'm so happy for Granit Xhaka, and to put the icing on the cake, he scored against Werder Bremen in this historic win. The fans stormed the pitch as they should. 120 years of history of existence of a club with no Bundesliga title, and to finally do this now, of course, yeah, stormed the pitch. They stormed the pitch 3 times. Technically, the match didn't end. The fans blew the whistle for the ref. They're like, all right, bro, like we can't contain this anymore. We got to celebrate with our team. You had the players on the pitch, and it doesn't stop there. Leverkusen never losing. They're still undefeated. They're in the DFB Pokal final, and they're already 2-0 up on West Ham in the Europa League quarterfinals. So they could actually win a treble. It don't stop there. Like, they just won the Bundesliga early. They could go undefeated, and they might win a treble. This could be the most historic season for a football club ever. For sure in German history. In the spirit of celebrations, big congrats to Wrexham AFC for getting promoted to EFL League One, which is the 3rd division of English football. They've been getting promoted consistently every single year. And if y'all don't know who Wrexham are, they're the 3rd oldest club in Wales. A few years ago, 2 Hollywood actors, Rob McElhenney and Ryan Reynolds, purchased the club just because they believed in the story, they believed in the narrative, they believed in the people, and they just thought this would be the challenge that they wanted to take on. Purchase the club, revamp everything, and take them through the ranks of English football to hopefully, of course, one day they make it to the Premier League. And they've made purchases, they've let go of people, they've renovated the facilities, the stadium, everything. They're actually putting in blood, sweat, and tears into revamping and rebuilding this club into one of the biggest clubs in England and eventually probably one of the biggest clubs in Europe. And it's happening right in front of our eyes. And they're documenting the whole thing through Welcome to Wrexham, which is a series essentially taking you into the behind the scenes of purchasing the club, running the club, the ups and the downs, the trials and the tribulations. I know a lot of football fans are usually skeptical when there's money involved and, you know, wealthy people buy out their club and they're trying to change things. But if they're actually taking care of your beloved club, if they're actually elevating the status of your club, like your team is winning games, is winning championships, is getting promoted, this is what I maybe this can be an example for a lot of football fans that money isn't always evil when it comes to football. A lot of times the narrative is that if your club gets bought out by a billionaire or a multi-millionaire and they're trying to take over, there's always some skepticism as to, okay, well, what's the agenda? What's the play here? What's the catch? And sometimes you have people who honestly, because it's a business, they're gonna try to make profit. They're gonna try to make money. However, you have these two guys now who are genuinely invested in this club and who are actually elevating the profile of the club, not just in terms of the branding, but actually on the pitch in football as competitors, as a professional sports team. You can't ask for nothing better than that, man. And as long as they stay true to that mission, you can't ask for nothing more than that. It seems like everybody and their moms is winning trophies nowadays. In Saudi Arabia, Al Hilal have now won the Saudi Super Cup. They packed up Al Ittihad 4-1 to win the trophy. Neymar obviously hasn't been playing. He's been injured damn near the whole time that he's been at the club. And he thought it was funny to be joking about the fact that he hasn't played and compared himself to one of those kids in school that did no work in a group project but still got credit for it. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know if Al Hilal are laughing as much as Neymar. I feel like they might not get the joke. I feel like they might not get the joke. I don't know. I'm getting the sense that they might not be laughing at the joke as much as he is, because they paid a lot of money for that boy, and now he talking about, you know, the kid from the group project who did no work and still got credit. This yeah, I wouldn't be joking about that, my boy. You still in their country. Yeah. If you haven't seen, Cristiano Ronaldo got a red card for hitting another player, defender from Al Hilal, Ali Albulahyi, and you might have seen Ali before. He's the guy who in the World Cup was taunting Messi. He's the guy who's taunted Ronaldo and so many other players before. He's a very aggressive and passionate guy. Like he's one of those players. He's a pest. He's very, very annoying. He's one of these guys who is going to get in your head, who's going to bug you all throughout, be very dramatic, and he should be protected at all costs because we need that in football. We need those villains. Football need those villains. If everybody in football is nice, if everybody in sports is nice, you don't have characters. You don't have characters like Pepe, like Sergio Ramos, like Zlatan Ibrahimovic. You don't have guys like that. You need those villains. And the fact that there's one antagonizing a player who's so mentally strong like Ronaldo. Ronaldo will get in his own head before he lets another player get in his head. And right now, Ali Albulahyi is living rent-free, all expenses paid in Cristiano Ronaldo's head. I mean, he was able to get him so much out of character that he get red carded. But those characters is what makes football fun. Like, yes, you need balance. You need guys like N'Golo Kante who are gonna play the game, who are going to be rough when they have to, but for the most part, everybody respect them. They're the nice guy. You can't say nothing bad about them. And then you need guys like Pepe. You need guys like Ali Albulahyi who are going to make things interesting, right? You need the little angel on your shoulder, and you need the little devil right there too, just to bring a little balance, right? And honestly, that's the laws of nature. That's the laws of planet Earth. You got left and right, up and down, hot and cold. You got N'Golo Kante and Ali Albulahyi. That makes perfect sense to me. Roma defender Evan Ndicka collapsed during their match versus Udinese this weekend, and he was stretchered off. Game stopped. Obviously, the game stopped. He was stretchered off. He was conscious when he left the stadium. After that scare, both teams decided to abandon the match, so it has been suspended, and the date for it to resume is to be determined. But the most important thing is that Evan is doing fine. He's okay. He went to the hospital. He was tested. There were no sign of a cardiac arrest. He collapsed. They're still running some tests, and they're going to keep him overnight. By the time this come out, obviously, we're going to have a lot more information on what happened to him, but his teammates went to visit him in a hospital, and he seems to be in stable condition. And, you know, after we've seen players like Eriksen collapse, after we've seen a lot of other footballers collapse on the pitch and unfortunately not make it, you know, these things could be extremely scary. And this is the time when the competition, the athletes, you know, all of that goes out the window and the humans kick in, and everybody usually tries to do their best to help out, tries to, you know, whether you're an opponent or you're a teammate, you definitely feel for the guy, and you never know. Sometimes these things are career ending. You know, Aguero had some issues with his health that cut his career short, and he had to leave football forever. And so these things are definitely, you know, and leaving football is the least of your worries. Unfortunately, we've lost some players on the pitch in moments like these where they've collapsed, and that was it. And so, you know, when something like this happens and a player is able to be conscious leaving the pitch or leave the stadium, be in a hospital, and be around a lot of intensive care, but in stable condition, you can only thank God and be grateful that they're okay. Health is wealth, and that's the most important thing. You know, your career is important, but, you know, the fact that Evan is still here with us today, that's the most important thing, and we're sending him a lot of love and courage and a very speedy recovery. Now, as always, this is the part of the show where I answer your burning, most passionate, most inquisitive, I did look it up, inquisitive is a word, your most inquisitive questions. And to get it started, Callum Pola K. Ajiblirise 2543. That's wow. I give you, if they was giving out trophies for usernames, I don't know, that might be a Guinness Book of World Record right there. I don't know. You might want to check that because that's a long username. But he says, hey, Elisha, I have a question. It's an interesting one. I appreciate the confidence. Which national team can go all the way in this summer's Euros in Germany without losing a single game? Italy done it at the last Euros, so I was wondering who will be next. Honestly, you know what? I'm going to give it to you. That's actually a great question. That's a pretty good question. You were right. You were right. I wouldn't say Belgium. I wouldn't say Spain. Spain's team is still relatively young. You know, as inconsistent sometimes as they've been, I would have to say that the most solid team right now going into the Euros, and the team that I think could actually be undefeated, undefeated up until the final. I don't know if they could go all the way to win it, but one team that I think could be consistent and not getting beaten all throughout the Euros is England. England got a great team. England have a very, very solid team, from Pickford in gold to Jude Bellingham in the midfield, guys like Foden. You got youngsters like Kobe Mainoo, Kyle Walker in the back, John Stones. Like, all throughout their depth, you have guys like Cole Palmer who are having a great season, Rashford, who's like up and down but can still produce magic from time to time when he's really on his day. Marcus Rashford is one of the best players in Europe right now. So for England, he can always step up. You got maturity on the bench with Jordan Henderson. Like, you have a lot of quality in England, and because of the experience they had in the last Euros, I do think that a lot of that nerve is not going to be the same this time around. So I do think that England, if there's a team that I would put my money on to go undefeated during this Euros, it would be England. And next question, Playboys My Boy says, if Xabi Alonso does stay next season, do you think Leverkusen can go all the way in the UCL as underdog favorites? If Xabi Alonso does stay next season, which he has announced, he's confirmed he is staying, why not? I mean, it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell because the Champions League is a different beast. Like, you're not just facing Dusseldorf and no offense to the other teams in the Bundesliga, but you're not facing no Dusseldorfs and Werder Bremens in the Champions League. You're facing Real Madrid. You're facing Manchester City. You're facing some top dogs. And so I do think after such a magical season, yes, they have a very, very strong team. I do think it's very unlikely for Leverkusen, no matter how great this season might have been. There's so many more factors that go into winning the Champions League. I don't think that they would go all the way. I would see them definitely leaving the group stage if they keep the cast that they have now, the team they have now. If they bring in some more reinforcements, I do think that they can go far in the Champions League. To go as far as winning it, though, I would just give up watching football after that. Like, it's just, football has been completed. We don't need nothing else. We wouldn't need nothing else. If Leverkusen can go undefeated this season, win the Bundesliga, win the DFB Pokal, win Europa League, and then go on next season, and win the Champions League, what else do we need in football? Like, it's just, at this point, it's just, we're watching just for the fun of it. Like, they would have completed football. They can just cease to exist as a club after that. Because what else are you going to do? How else do you top that? And as always, every episode, I gotta leave y'all with a little note, which I like to call the quote of the week. This week, it comes from legendary country singer Dolly Parton, and she says, "The way I see it, if you want the rainbow, you gotta put up with the rain." And that quote simply means that you're gonna go through difficulties, right? If you want the rainbow only comes after the rain. It only comes after the storm. But if you're still standing, if you're still here to see it, if you're still here to pick your head up and you look up in the sky, you're gonna see that rainbow. Oh, that boy Spain, that was good. That was good. If you hold your head up high, because the only way you're going to see that rainbow is not when you're looking down at the ground feeling sorry for yourself, feeling bad and moping and being grouchy, is when you look up. When you put your chin up and you hold your head up high, you're going to see that rainbow. You're going to see that there's better days. You're going to see that the birds are singing, that the sun is out shining bright. And so learn to embrace the difficulties in life. They all come. The ups and the downs, the trials and the tribulations, the roadblocks, all of it, the setbacks, the minor and major setbacks all set you up for an even bigger comeback. If you set a goal for yourself, if you set an objective, just know that the best things in life usually either take time or take some hard work and some adversities. Embrace the good and the bad with it. Again, balance. Life, ups, down, left, rights. It all, brightness and darkness. And make sure that when the rain is gone, that you look up to see that rainbow. I appreciate y'all so much, man. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you download the episode. Make sure you rate us 5 stars on every platform that you listen to the podcast. This has been Evergreen episode 6. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. And we're going to see y'all on the next one. Peace.